What's up, family? Welcome to the 10% Happier Self-Care Journey. Today is August 13th, and I'm excited because we're in the course called Healthy Habits, all about creating and sustaining healthy habits. So specifically, the topic today is called the 3 E's: environment, ease, and enjoyment. And these 3 E's are related to, developing a mindfulness and meditation practice. And so there are 3 things that you want to pay attention to, that we want to pay attention to, in order to help us to create healthy habits. So hello to everybody watching live, as well as they say, the replay visitors. I'm going to actually paste the information for today in the chat so that you can see the notes that I've written and so that you can follow along at your leisure, or you can come back to it. These are going to be pinned in the comment section. So what are the 3 E's that are important for creating and sustaining healthy habits? So we first look at environment. The environment is important. Look for ways to make your environment a reminder and support system of your goal. Creating access points are the key. When you think about creating healthy habits, it is very important that you feel comfortable in your surroundings. And a lot of times you have to do certain things in order to motivate you. So, some things you might do in your environment, it might be having the right space. It might be having a comfortable chair. It may be, as they were saying in the course, for somebody that's trying to develop a healthy habit to exercise, the person put their running shoes right out in the open near the door where they could see them. You just need reminders. You need things that make you feel good about your space. In my space, I have, what do I have? Well, I always put on either some music, or I put on my self-care study lessons that I'm learning, and that puts me in a mindset. I also have a yoga mat. I have a place over here near my door that I found that's kind of comfortable, and I look forward to just being in that space. And so doing things to create a healthy environment and a welcoming environment for yourself is so important. It's also good because it gives you reminders too. If I put my yoga mat near where the door is, then chances are I'm gonna stop and use it. And also, having it always out. I can't have it in this particular room that I'm in always out, but I can actually put it in another room and just have it always ready. So look for ways to make your environment a reminder and support system of whatever your overall goal is. Creating the access points are the key. You need things to get you in the door to just put you there. The second E of this trio is ease. Take as little, and this is something that I wrote, an original quote that I wrote, inspired by this thought as I was learning it in the course, and it was reminding me of something that I've been using for a while. Hey, Darrell, Stefan, thank you all for hanging out and watching. Hope your day is going well so far. So ease. Take as little as 10 to 15 minutes per day to devote toward an activity that's a part of a larger goal. The sense of accomplishment that you'll feel by setting a realistic, attainable goal will create just the right amount of consistency and momentum that you need to stay motivated and committed day in and day out. This really resonates with me deeply because years ago when I started studying music with my mentor, I was coming up with my own system for practicing the information that he gave me. And what I came up with was this 20-minute a day for each activity kind of approach that really, I didn't even know what I was on to at that time. It just made sense to me. But what I did was I took a sheet of paper and I had printouts at that point where I would fill it in. And my goal was to just focus on each skill just for 20 minutes a day. And if I couldn't focus on hardly anything at all, then just one skill for 20 minutes a day. And what I noticed was with that kind of momentum, just doing a little bit a day and allowing my brain to process and coming back to it and adding on to it. I mean, it took me from 0 to 100 fast. I learned so much as far as music in such short amount of time, and I mastered so many skills by just applying 20 minutes a day. It became the number one. In fact, I forgot to post a link with this information, but I'll put it in the description and comment section of this video afterwards. It became the number one philosophy for learning anything for me. And in fact, it became my first podcast episode out of over 250 podcasts that I've done now. The first one that I did 2 years ago that I'll post here is called 20 Minutes a Day Will Set You on Your Way, I think it was. And it was just my philosophy that I've used to date, where if you want to learn anything in life, then you can even put it less than 20 minutes. Like they say here, the person in this course was talking about as little as 10 minutes. Because the thing about it is, when you break things down into smaller attainable goals like that, the thing that keeps you motivated is your sense of accomplishment. It's your sense of feeling like you're actually taking a step forward and like you've actually covered some territory. As an entrepreneur, I tell you, because this is something that we deal with day in and day out. As an entrepreneur, you know, your work never ends, so to speak. I mean, you don't clock out necessarily. You just stop working when you are ready to stop working. And because of the fact that it's always something to do, you can get into this feeling of like really doing a lot of things, but not feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. And that's just because you don't have a place to stop or end, like a place to just celebrate after crossing the finish line, a place to say, okay, this is enough for the day, and this was great. You know, I pat myself on the back for this. I celebrate the step that I took today. You just don't have that. You have to put that in place yourself, because otherwise you'll just feel like you're on this hamster wheel. And it's something that even after years of success as an entrepreneur and, you know, it being my lifestyle, it's still something that's a constant practice every day. So the sense of accomplishment that you'll feel by setting a much more smaller, consistent goal will create just the right amount of consistency and momentum you need to stay motivated day in and day out. One more story I want to tell you too on this tip is when I was I guess about 24, I was working out about 6 days a week. I mean, I was becoming a power lifter, and I was gaining a lot of muscle, and you know, it was a deep hobby then as far as that kind of approach to working out. And so at some point, as I started to become an entrepreneur, I realized that I didn't have the time like I used to work out 6 days a week. So what I thought about was, what I would do is I would cut it back to 3 days a week, and I would condense what I did in 6 days and 3 days. And then where I couldn't condense it, I would just lighten up the load because my goals changed anyway. I just wanted to be more toned and just fit as opposed to winning Olympic medals, you know. But the main point is that I scaled it back to 3 days for 1 hour a piece, 1 hour a day for 3 days. And I know that I could do more. Even at the time, I actually could do more. But the reason why I scaled it back to that is similar to this principle here. What I realized was, no matter how busy my life got, I could pretty much squeeze in an hour a day, 3 days a week. Even if I didn't go to the gym and I worked out at home, I could remain consistent with that. And what I knew is that if I chose something that I didn't have to struggle to keep consistent, then overall my whole momentum would continue to go forward. I would stay motivated. I'd be working out. It wouldn't be a problem. And that's exactly what happened. it's exactly what happened. I also didn't want to put too much on myself, so that way if I couldn't live up to 4 or 5 days a week, I didn't have to feel that sense of letdown. Because if I'm only shooting for 3 days, then I feel good about it when I hit it. And if I go over it, anything over it is bonus. So this was definitely a principle that I've learned, not just in mindfulness and meditation, but learning music, applying it to exercise, applying it to even my daily education and studying, so I don't feel overwhelmed, because I study a lot of different subjects per day. So 10 to 15 minutes a day keeps the feeling of lack and accomplishment away. I'm probably going to put that in like a song to actually repeat that mantra. That's one other little sidebar too. If you all haven't heard it already, check out my newest project called Aaron Hill Quotes Volume 1. It's the second installment in my new brand of motivational and mindset music, which is called neuromusical reprogramming. So check that out. And I'm going to be doing things like this, like repeating mantras, in order to help us to lock in on certain things. So find one step that you can take right away. This is another piece of the equation. Find one step that you can take right away. This is called the next actionable step. And again, this is under ease. This is under how to introduce ease into forming any kind of healthy habit that you want to. The next actionable step is something that I learned when I was studying with Berklee College of Music, and it was a part of my entrepreneurship class. And it was probably, out of all the things I learned in there, this is the biggest thing that I learned that sticks with me. I mean, there was a number of things that I learned, but this one just rolls right off my tongue, because I have applied this ever since I first learned it. And the next actionable step is just the concept that no matter where you are, there's always one small thing that you can do to be able to take a step towards your goal. There's a lot of steps that feel completely overwhelming to us. So you want to find the one that's not overwhelming, the one that you can't make up excuses for, because you don't need any more resources, you don't need anything else in order to take a step, because that's one of the things that helps us to procrastinate, is when we feel like, oh, I just need this and then I'll be ready. I put up a post the other day where I said, sometimes our purchasing of more equipment is just a way of procrastinating, but convincing ourselves that we're being productive. And this is something that I've dealt with. I watched a close friend deal with this year after year after year. And it was interesting because when I was looking at his experience, for a while, it did seem like all he needed was to something else in the equation, and then he was right where he needed. But I started to realize after a while that no, he actually could do something with what he had. It's just that he wasn't looking at the next actionable step. His next actionable step was avoiding taking a step by finding a distraction. And in his case, it was by buying more equipment, or saying that he needed the perfect and ideal circumstances in order to take a step forward. Newsflash, it's another quote I put up the other day. There's, no such thing as an ideal moment. Stop waiting on ideal circumstances in order to make a move. There are no ideal circumstances. There's only real life with real risk and with real successes and quote unquote failures, which we're going to talk about in a second. There's just life. There's just reality, And so the only way to achieve is to move forward realistically, not waiting on things to be idealistic. So the next actionable step, find one thing that you can do right now towards your goals of healthy habits, creating or sustaining a healthy habit, that you don't need anything else to do. It's right there. All you got to do is just make an intention and do it. And I have a video called The Next Actionable Step that I did for my podcast. It's linked, if you're looking at the information right now, below in the comment section or description. Or you can just search on YouTube, Aaron Hill, The Next Actionable Step. I really want you to check it out and let me know what you think. Let me know if it resonates for you as far as this topic. So we have environment, we have ease, and then the third E is enjoyment. Figure out how to make the activity itself and the meaning of it enjoyable. Use environments, sounds, teaming up with others, etc. The enjoyment will allow you to tune into the benefits to keep you going. This is another big point of advice that I apply this every day. I remind myself of it every day, and I also share it with others. Like, the only way you're really going to hang in there with anything in life, a job, a relationship, a healthy habit, like anything, is it has to be enjoyable for you. It has to be something that makes you happy. And so I'm really getting to the point now, like, especially because of studying psychology so deeply, that I'm kind of against things now that you do that aren't enjoyable for you, or where you can help it. Like, certain things you have no choice. You have to do certain things because it's just a responsibility to do it. But where you're making choices to do certain things or develop habits, when it comes to health and wellness, like with exercise or mindfulness, meditation, like how you do it, where you do it, like diet and all these kind of things. Like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're working against yourself. You're working against yourself, especially when you can choose something that will get you the same goal and be enjoyable in the process. In order to know that, though, you have to have self-awareness. You have to know what actually is enjoyable to you. And if you don't know that, then you have to experiment, which really is the other E that this whole thing is about. It's about experimentation. You have to experiment in order to find out. And then once you find out, then you have to dial into that and try to cultivate and center everything around that. I was talking to someone the other day who was trying to form a healthy habit with exercising, and many people think about, when they're looking to exercise, think about going to the gym. That's one of the main things. But I mean, I'm a gym guy, but not everybody's a gym person, and there's some people that just think that they have to go to the gym just because it's like, well, that's the only way I can think about getting in shape, even though they know other ways, but they just lean towards that. So I had to tell someone who was talking about going to the gym, but who really doesn't really like to go to the gym as much. I mean, they want the result, but they don't really like to go to the gym. But I asked, what do you like to do? And one of the things that they love to do is to dance. And this is probably the third time that I've talked to someone where this wound up being a conversation where I was just like, why the hell are you trying to go to the gym? Don't go to the gym. Just dance your way into shape. Like, find an activity, whether it's a group or, if you can't do a group right now, find a virtual experience, go outside and do it. Like, make a way, but dance. Like, if you love dancing, dance your ass into shape. Don't go to the gym. You have to find something that's enjoyable for you, because if it's not enjoyable, then you won't have the core of what you need in order to every day say, you know what, I'm looking forward to doing this, or setting aside the time, or having your mind prepared, so you have to find something that's enjoyable. One of the things that I found in my mindfulness and meditation practice is that I do my meditation and yoga stretching at the same time. And I could just meditate, I could just do yoga. I like to do them together because while I'm meditating, it allows me to focus on something that is just like a central point. My mind's not too far out there because I'm kind of in automatic mode, and I'm getting 2 for 1. It's enjoyable for me. If it wasn't, I'd be doing something else. So figure out how to make the activity itself enjoyable, and the meaning of doing the activity enjoyable. Use your environment, sounds, teaming up with others, and experimentation. The enjoyment will allow you to tune into the benefits to keep you going. Experimentation is key. Even when your habit doesn't happen, you still win, because you'll have the information needed to learn more about yourself and the process, and that's invaluable right there. Instead of thinking that you failed, realize that you've succeeded in learning. And that was a quote that I just put up on Facebook, in fact. Pay attention to your inner critic and work to find places to enjoy and celebrate your progress and successes. Letting go of the tendency of judging ourselves harshly. There is no failure. Every experience adds to our learning. I like this kind of stuff because in thinking about this, you basically are flipping an idea on its head and going from a pessimistic or downtrodden kind of perspective to something that's more positively reinforcing. You can look at it as something as a failure, but if you have learned something from it and it's taught you the way to something, then it's actually a success. It's not a failure. I really, at this point, I kind of define failures as shit that you go through that you don't learn from. And eventually, if you're smart, you're going to learn one day in order to not have that outcome or not put somebody else through that outcome or whatever. But as long as you're learning from it, to me, it's a success, because what else is life but an accumulation of moments where you experience things and you hopefully look to learn from them so that you can make better choices or continuous choices in that way, whatever. So that's real important to redefine that. It's real important to redefine failures as successful learning experiences. I myself have situations where I think about places where I failed, either myself or other people. And, I'm remorseful if I do something to hurt myself or to hurt others. I'm very remorseful. But then after that thought, then I'm back to the place of the only way I could be here today to say that was a mistake, or that I would do something different or wouldn't do that again or make a different choice, is that I had to go through it and I had to experience it to learn from it to then know how to proceed from there. So that's not a failure, So instead of telling yourself that you failed, tell yourself you've succeeded in learning and becoming more wise. A change of language into positive reinforcement makes a world of a difference on your being. And then Thomas Edison said it best: I've never failed. I just tried 10,000 things that didn't work. I always say there's two paths to success. You can either be fortunate enough to stumble upon the path to success and be on your way, or you can stumble upon all the ways not to do something, and by process of elimination, what are you left with? The way to do something. You're left with the successful way to do something. So I just think it's important to have an optimistic viewpoint, when it comes to this kind of thing. And I like the way Thomas Edison put it, because he made the light, he's got the light bulb happening for us. So how do you look at it? Did he fail, or did he succeed? He succeeded because he kept going until he found the one that worked. And then we don't count the 10,000 that he missed. We don't, and the proof in that pudding is that most of us, I would even assume, don't even know that. Didn't even know that Thomas Edison made this many attempts before, or who was it? I think it was Dr. Seuss. I think Dr. Seuss might have been the one that somebody who is more aware of this, chime in and let me know. But I think it was Dr. Seuss whose books and his writings were turned down over 100 times or something like that. And he has a saying too. Let me see if I can find that Dr. Seuss saying. But anyway, the main point of this is that you want to, in finding your way towards healthy habits, you want to actually do things to your environment, do things to make things at ease for you, and also do things to make things enjoyable for you. And then you'll keep your head in the game. So this is the 10% Happier Journey. And this is 10% Happier is an app that you can download from the App Store, and it's filled with courses from various meditation teachers. And it was created by Dan Harris, a former news anchor, I think he might be former news anchor, on NBC, who had a panic attack on air, and it led him to learning more about himself and diving into mindfulness and meditation, and he found his remedy. And so he created an app, and it's an amazing app. You should definitely download it. And so, yeah. So that's about it for today. We're going to end on something that I call the 30-second meditation technique. You know, my philosophy is that when it comes to meditation, you need nothing to do it or to get into it, but just intention, you know. And so in 30 seconds, we're just going to take 3 deep breaths and just do 10 seconds of mindfulness, which just means staying in that place, no judgment, and just at ease. So wherever you are, you can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to close mine in order to settle in. And we're just finishing on this thought of the 3 E's: environment, ease, and enjoyment, which could actually be added to a 4th E, which is experimentation, because that's what's needed in order to allow for all this to happen. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and when you inhale, we're going to do deep belly breathing, where you inhale through your nose, long inhales, and you exhale through your mouth. This slows down your heart rate, allows for you to get more blood and oxygen to the body, and just allows you to just de-stress and just chill out overall. So let's take a deep breath in and out. Let's take another deep breath in and out. And one more final deep breath in and out. And you can continue with that pattern, or you can let your breathing return back to normal. And we're just going to take 10 more seconds to just stay in that place of de-stressing and decompressing. Ready? You can open your eyes, and we are done. 10% Happier Journey. Glad to be back. It's been a minute since I've done this as far as this kind of session. I'm happy to be back in the saddle. I'm happy to not judge myself for the time that I wasn't doing it, because that's a part of this journey. And so last but not least, if you like the background ambiance, that is called Breath of Life, and that is my own personal creation, and you can find it everywhere. All you have to do is just look up Aaron Hill on Spotify, Apple Music, all those different places, and you can download that and use it for your quiet time, your meditation. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again for the next 10% Happier self-care journey. Drop a line to give me some ideas about what your feelings are about what we talked about today. Take care. Peace.